for information. But you know what you should do? Call me or send me a mail.
Okay.
Immediately after 2 days, so I will push.
Okay.
Okay. Now number 25, page 169. Now we studied sense knowledge. We saw the external knowledge. We saw the internal, external senses, internal senses. And now we try to understand how we can pass from that knowledge that is sensible and singular. The phantasm is sensible and singular. And to arrive to a concept that is abstract and universal. So the genius of Aristotle is that we don't need to refer to existence in the past or to the intervention of God. We have the power to do the passage, to make the passage from sense knowledge to intellectual knowledge, because it distinguishes in the intellect two functions. We have one intellect, but with two functions. So he said we have active agent intellect, active agent, and we have a passive intellect. That means we have only one intellect, but with two functions. Sometimes to help you understand that, I say, you have a mouth. What can you do with your mouth? You say, I can eat, okay. What can you do? I can speak. Therefore, you have two mouths. No, we have only one mouth with two functions. So we have one intellect with two functions. That is the genius of Aristotle. To find the source of our capacity of intellectual knowledge, not from outside, but from the intellect we have, we possess. So to understand that, we can use a modern comparison, analogy, and the analogy of the slideshow. So you have a screen, and you have a projector, and you have a slide here. So the projector is sending the light, and that is on the screen here. So we need a projector to illuminate the phantasm. But if we don't have phantasm, we cannot have a picture on the screen. If we have no light, so we have no picture. So we need two. And just before, we discussed before leaving about the causality. So we said the phantasm is like the slide. It is like my pencil, you know. It is the efficient, instrumental, efficient cause. Instrumental, efficient cause. But the principle is the intellect. The intellect has the power of illuminating the phantasm, to send the light of the intellect into phantasm. And that light of the intellect sent into the phantasm, we call that illumination, we call that abstraction. So we have the power to detach, abstract, extract, to take from, to detach from the phantasm, what? To detach what is sensible. For example, we detach the color, we detach, and we detach the quantity, and we detach also this singularity, individuality. It's not this cat, it's not this dog, it's not this kangaroo. It is any cat, any dog, any kangaroo. So we arrive to, by abstraction, we arrive to the result of that is the knowledge of a thing which is abstract and universal. And universal means applicable, practicable to everything. Everything. So that line is going on the passive intellect or patient intellect. The patient intellect or passive intellect is receiving the fruit of the illumination of the phantasm. Well, to understand that, we can use a very simple analogy. When you look at yourself in the mirror in the morning, you are the one who sends the image. At the same time, you are the one who receives the image. We call that reflection. Reflection. In fact, when you are in front of the mirror, you send your image, but you receive your image. Even in physics, we call that reflection. But in philosophy, the human mind has the power of reflecting. That means you have the power to send the light of the intelligence in facts, in experience, etc., in a phantasm, and we can take from that the essential, the essence, the essential. But that essence is applicable to everything, and that what that happens, we have an intelligible, impress species. That means the representation, intellectual representation, arrive to my own mind. I reflect on that. I discover what is that. What is that? The quiddity and the definition of the thing. And the definition is detached from anything. When I define what is a hammer, it is for any kind of hammer. So when I receive that on my intellect, so I send the light, like in the mirror, I receive the light in my mind. In that moment where I understand, we call that the insight. I understand. I understand. That means what I abstract is printing, is impressed on my intellect for the first time. Remember when you were studying mathematics and the teacher gives you a problem and you reflect on that, Suddenly, you smile. You understood and you were able to write a good solution. That is the insight. Right? Think about Mr. Archimedes. When he was floating, suddenly he discovered the law of hydrostatic. He jumped out of the pool, forgetting his pen, and he ran the eureka. He has the insight. Impress, intelligible, impress species. That happened once. When we understand, something is forever. If it's not forever, you don't understand perfectly. Or you have no word to sustain that idea. Now, when you understand, Eureka, Archimedes understood, he went to the king to explain to the king. But going to the king, he explained to himself first. He said, what I will say to the king, So that is the concept. The concept is the intelligible, express species. I can express to myself what I understood. Not only I can express to myself, after that, I will go and express to others. That is the word, the term, to express my idea. So that is the way we think. We try to understand. So first, we have sense knowledge. We coordinate stored in the imagination. We can represent that is a phantasm. We can use it for the past, for the future. Now my intellect illuminates the phantasm like a projector, but I am at the same time the screen. I receive that impress my mind. I understand. I have the insight. I can explain to myself. I have the concept or idea. Well, there is a difference, but I don't insist on the difference. And finally, I can go to the king. I can explain to the king what is the principle of hydrostatic. That is the process according to Aristotle and used by St. Thomas of Aquinas. And it is, I think, for me, it is conform to the reality. Because we don't need, first, we cannot reduce the knowledge only to sense knowledge. In fact, we have concept. In our concept are abstract, you know. So we cannot say everything is only a name, only an image, only a sensation. It's not true. Another side, I cannot say everything comes from my mind. No, I need the role of the sense knowledge. But in fact, what is in Tenok, what interests a philosopher is that the level, the relation of causality. So what is the role of the agent intellect? It is to be the principal efficient cause. And the phantasm is the instrumental efficient cause. Like my Chuck here is writing, and I am writing. I write as principal cause, and my Chuck write as instrumental cause. Okay? Now, after that explanation, we go to the text. So I think if you have a synthesis of that, the text should be easy to understand. The first paragraph, 25.1, is a summary. Man's knowledge process involves both sensation, perception, and intellection. And those two elements go together. So we cannot know without intellect. We cannot know without our senses. We need both. Sensation gives a person knowledge of concrete aspect. Concrete aspect. Sense qualities, individual material object. This cat, this. Okay? So, perception now. But the difference with perception and sensation, I gave that in the precedent chapter. Perception is more objective. It is more the totality of the thing. The totality of the thing. Perception is here. Sensation is here. In fact, sensation is both. Perception is more objective. But in fact, when you have a coin, we have two sides. So in sense knowledge, we have sensation, many sensations of the same object. On the other side, we have the unification of those sensations. That is the perception. I have the perception that is an orange when I have many sensations united, and that means that is an orange. Because I cannot only use my sensation. For example, a day I was in my room in Cameroon. It was during the night, and suddenly I have my office and my room, and I listen on the door of my office. See, what is that? And then like boom, boom, boom. So I came with a flashlight, and it was my dog. He was at the door and telling me, I protect you, boop, with his leg. He waiting his tail on the door to manifest it was with me. So I have to use many senses to discover, to have the perception my sensation was not complete. I have to put together and to arrive to know. Huh? Okay, and to use my intellect also. Intellect, because I was not able to find by myself only what was it. No knocking on my door like that. Huh? Okay. Now, number 25.1.4.3. So, intellection, an example of intellection, from sensation of color, odors, and touch, and from the perception of the thing present under color, odor, and touching, the orange. I smell the orange, I see the orange. After that, I have the perception, because all those sensations were unified here. I have the perception. Alors, from all those sense knowledge, man can say that is a tree, that is an orange. Not only it is orange, it is an orange. That means what I know about this orange, I can apply that to every orange, every side. Yes, a few days ago, Father Luna went to the market and he bought an avocado. I was surprised, it was a big avocado. I never saw that in Africa, huge. But it was an avocado. You know, avocado applied too little, too big. The same for other fruit. Huh? We have in Cameroon grapefruit. They are big like that, like football. Grapefruit. You know, we have little. So what is important is not the size, it's not the color. It is what it is. I have to abstract. When I say it is a grapefruit, I then I'll say it is a big or no, it is a grapefruit. Apply to any kind of grapefruit, any kind of banana. Huh? Okay. We have little banana in little. We call that monkey's finger, very small banana. And we have huge banana. You can fix a nail with that. The both of that are banana. I can abstract. You know? Okay. So two intellectual acts. In fact, here we say two, in fact we have three. We have the concept, you remember? The concept three, the definition of a thing, the grasping of a thing. What is that? And we studied that. First operation. Did we study that? Yeah? First operation, abstract. The second operation is judgment. I put together, we studied that in logic. In logic, okay? The second, we put together subject and predicate. First, we know what is a thing. After that, we put together thing. We have a judgment. After that, we can find a reason for that, and we have a reasoning. So we have the three operations of the human mind. But in the three operations, in fact, we use all the time the concept. Because to judge, we put together two concepts. When we reason, we put together three concepts. Three concepts, and we make three judgments. In judgment, we have two concepts, one proposition. Okay? So the concept is the statement that is a tree. The judgment affirms that this thing is a tree. It is a tree. So that is a tree. So, what is that? Being. The being in front of me, this being is a tree. I must first know the existence of the thing in front of me. I must have also the idea, the concept of tree, and I put that together. So the intellection, any kind of operation of my mind refers to concept. Of course, to think is not only to look to abstract. For example, I can know many things. I can have the knowledge of many things, but sometimes I cannot put them together. And we call that encyclopedic mind. They know a lot of things, but when we have to write a paper, something, put that together, you have difficulty. So a concept is at the foundation of judgment, and the concept is the foundation of reason. In fact, to think is to know what is a thing, is to put together those things and to arrive to prove that those things go together. In fact, Aristotle proposed only 3 operations. We cannot have more than that. Nobody found more than that. Nobody. The genius of Aristotle in logic is fantastic. His logic was never depassed. In fact, he was the mind who codified clearly and definitively the operation of the mind. Now, next paragraph. An intellectual power, the intellect, that enables man to make such a statement, it called intellect. So if I can know what is a thing, if I can put together many things, I can reason, all that is the fruit of my intellect. My intellect has many functions. My intellect reason, knows, abstract. My intellect judge, my intellect reason. But it is only one intellect with many functions. Okay? So the first function of the intellect, it is abstraction. Before affirming a thing, we must know the subject and we must know the predicate. Therefore, we must abstract. Why? Because all of our knowledge starts from sense knowledge. So it is absolutely necessary to abstract in order to have a universal concept and attain a universal truth. A universal truth. Because we study the operation of the human mind, finally it is to attain the truth. It's not only to function for themselves. The goal of thinking well, reasoning well, all that, it is to attain the truth. So, explanation of abstraction, I already spoke about that. The patient intellect. In fact, at the beginning, the patient intellect is a tabula rasa. That means we are born without any information. We discover the first principle by our activities. It is in my activities that I discover the first principle. There is no innate ideas that oppose Descartes, oppose Plato, oppose St. Augustine and other idealists. So we say intellect is a tabula rasa, having no specific determined knowledge and being in potency to receive any determination. So man can know everything. Everything. Anything. Because we are not determined, we can know everything. Yes?
When we talk about natural law, every man knows natural law, where does that fit into this?
Well, the natural law, in fact, what can I say? It is known through, I will say natural law is known through experience. Experience. The men, they discover natural law through experience, reflecting on their action, on their you know. For example, they discover certainly that the way of living of a man is not the same way of living as a cat or a dog or a cow. You know? That is a big. That could be an object for a dissertation for the doctor.
I'll pass it on to somebody.
In fact, when we say what we say, we discover natural law when we obey our conscience. And my conscience should express what I am. What is the reference to judge my own action? It is my internal reference in my own nature. Rational animal. So I can say any man on earth can say I am an animal, therefore I must act as an animal. I am rational, I must use my reason. But how, the detail of that is different. You know?
No, I was...
Yeah, but it's a good question. It's a good question. I cannot give a satisfying answer to that. But what I know, I'm sure, man knows through his experience, reflecting on his experience. Why? Because everything enters his mind through his sensation, his senses. So even the notion of natural law came from centuries to centuries through human experience, you know, and the experience of others also. Huh? My experience and the experience of others. So I cannot say more than that. Okay? But what I know, if man can know natural law, it is because he is intelligent, because he has the power of reflection. Is the reason why it's normal to study ethics at the end of philosophy. Because to study ethics, you must know many things. You must know philosophy of man, philosophy of God. You must know metaphysics. Finally, at the end, we can now, because the activity of man follow from his essence, from his nature. So we are studying the nature of man, and finally, in fact, when you study philosophy of man, next week we see that very clearly. When you study appetite, for the will, and when you study the will in psychology, it is exactly what we study in ethics. Fundamental ethics. When you study with Father Malady, then you will see, we saw that. Oh, don't tell him. See, oh, I forgot. Okay. No, all my knowledge comes from my sense experience. Even the knowledge of God. We are made like that. And that is the great difference between the idealist who say, oh, my knowledge, I have the knowledge, so I put the truth in the reality. We don't put the truth in the reality. We discover the truth in the reality. We don't put it. Okay? We abstract. Okay, now it is the passive aspect of the intellect. Patient intellect. Tabula rasa, a screen. Oh, a good analogy also I can use, it is the PC, computer. But it's interesting, the computer, it is at the same time active and passive. It is active, doing the research, and it is passive because everything is printed on the screen. Well, it's an analogy, St. Thomas never knew what was a computer. So, next paragraph, the agent intellect, now, agent intellect, intellectus agent, is not purely passive, the intellect is not purely passive, but exercise an active role. So not only we are able to receive knowledge, but we are able to take knowledge, to extract knowledge, to abstract knowledge. Knowledge is not only a pure gift. We have to work for that. We have to break the nut, how do you say, the shell, the shell of the nut to have, to have the oyster. You understand, huh? It is not, there is an effort. It is a reason why we call agent intellect. The intellect active, and it is active because we abstract. You know, when we go to, in the mind, what they are minor, they are extracting. Abstract is the same thing. Okay? We detach. And that process is illumination. Well, after that, Father Wheeler gave you two definitions, and he gave you the definition of the percept. Well, the percept can be sensible or intellective. I will not insist on that, okay? On that. You see, the percept is the object immediately known in sense. Here is not perfection, perception, perception. It is the objectivity concept immediately present. But I don't insist on that. The processes of illumination, what is that? It is the intellectual that extracts, detaches, abstracts from the phantasm the nature of quiddity. The quiddity, the whatness, what is that? You remember in logic, we say the first chapter was to know what is the whatness of a thing. And when we say the whatness, quiddity, I give you also essence. You remember? I give you nature. And further, we have substance. Huh? All those are almost the same, but they have different function. Huh? Different function. And the nature is the essence or the quantity as principle of activities. So here, my intellect, agent intellect, is activity is to abstract, to detach from the singular, all that is singular individual, and to arrive to something which is completely universal. In logic, we call that the definition, the essence of the thing, the quadness of the thing. Okay? We put apart. Next paragraph is here the analogy of the projector. I spoke about that. Go to number 4. The intelligible species or impressed species, intelligible impressed species. This process results in an intelligible species, image, which the agent intellect impresses on the possible intellect. So the agent intellect, illuminating the phantasm, impress himself. But it is at the same time the one who illuminates and the one who is illuminated, but not on the same aspect. That means when you look at yourself in the mirror, you are sending to the mirror your image, and the mirror is sending you your own image, reflection, we reflect. Okay? That is a proof of the spirituality of the human soul. The capacity of being detached like that, okay? And to universalize, to have a concept which is totally detached from any matter, any individuality. And that concept is universal, outside of time and space. And for Plato, that concept was the real reality, because it was eternal. In fact, truth is eternal. 3 plus 2 equal 5. It is an eternal truth. Eternal truth. Eternally, 3 plus 2 equal 5. From all eternity to the end of eternity. That is proof that the concept meant us are detached from time and space. They are spiritual. Of course, they need the phantasm as an instrument. For example, when an author received the Nobel Prize for Literature, what is rewarded? His pencil, his computer, of the writer. The writer, of course, not the computer. It's the same for man. We need an object to know, but it is not that make us to know. And my knowledge now depends not on this phantasm. I can see any kind of cat, I know what is a cat. If I existed 3 million years before a cat existed, I will know what was a cat. And in 2000 years, they will know what is a cat. Okay? In fact, my intellect transcends time and space. Transcends time and space. I am detached from matter. I am spiritual. Spiritual. Okay? Okay, I go to the bottom of page 171. Impressed species. The impressed species is the species which is impressed in the cognitive power by an object. Impressed species is defined the likeness or the form. In fact, what is coming here, that is the form, and that form is still sensible. And now I take that form and make it universal, detached from any kind of determination. But the craftsman who did build that table, those tables, put an idea in the matter. When I know what is a desk, what I do, I abstract the idea, that is not material. But that idea of this desk, it is not material, but it is immaterial. But it is singular, because it is the form of this desk. But if I detach that form from this desk and from every desk, I have the form of what is a desk. That form is spiritual. It is detached from. That means the fruit of my thought is spiritual. My thought is a spiritual faculty. What is spiritual? It is something which exists independently of matter. I have to use something, of course, as a tool, but the fruit of my activity is totally independent from matter. Abstraction is a spiritual activity. Reflection is a spiritual activity. And here I make a parenthesis. You know, as a philosopher, I am not at ease when they say, for example, when they speak about the life of charity, the life of perfection, they call it spiritual life. I don't agree with that. It's not spiritual life. It is supernatural life. Supernatural life. Because every man, even an atheist, has a spiritual life. So the word spiritual is ambiguous. Of course, don't change the books. Continue to say the spiritual life. Don't forget, every man, when he abstract, every man, when he take a decision, he exercises a spiritual activity. So we cannot identify spiritual with supernatural. To be strict in philosophy, we should speak about supernatural life, not about spiritual life, because spiritual life is natural. It's natural for a man to abstract. It's natural for a man to have a spiritual faculty. It is my soul is spiritual. The soul of Hitler was spiritual. He was not a great saint, but he was spiritual. So that you understand the ambiguity of the word spiritual. But of course, 99% of the book, spiritual life means supernatural life. You don't forget when you think, when you take a decision, when you abstract, when you reflect, you exercise your spiritual activities. And that is very important because it's the foundation of your immortality. If I am spiritual, if I am detached from matter, I have no matter. If I have no matter, I cannot be corrupted. I cannot be decomposed. I am immortal. Through my reason, I can arrive to prove the immortality of the soul, the spiritual of the soul, through reason. Like I can prove through my reason the existence of God. I just can't arrive. Surprised? No. You know, the power of the intellect can go very far. Huh? Of course, many things we know before because of faith. But we can know also those things through reason. We see that next semester that the Council Vatican, the First Vatican, say that is a dogma of faith that a Christian can discover God, the existence of God, through his reason. Outside of faith. Faith and reason is not the same. Of course, a lack of faith is not a lack of reason. Yes, we cannot make a lack of faith without reason. Every time you say, I believe in God, you use your reason. Otherwise, it's not a human act. In every human act, you must use your reason and your freedom. No? So that, in fact, here, what is interesting for me, we have the foundation of the proof, the fundamental proof of the spirituality of the human soul. And if you accept the spirituality of the human soul, you must accept his immortality. We are immortal because our functions are detached from sense knowledge, are detached from individual knowledge, are detached. We arrive to something totally abstract and universal. But that is not faith. It's different. We can know God through reason, and we can believe in God by faith. The difference is, in faith, it is God himself who reveals himself to us. In philosophy, it is man who by his reason discovers God. Of course, it is better that God revealed to me, but it is the power of man given by God to discover its existence by human reason. Okay, I go to the bottom of page 172. So that express means likeness, another word, likeness, resemblance, similitude, similitude, or likeness, all that. That is species. So number 2 is defined. The intentional likeness. You remember what is knowledge? Cognition last week. Intentional union, likeness, form of the object which is produced in the act of knowledge, and in which the knowing subject contemplates the object known. We know the object in the concept. The concept is a formal sign. The phantasm and the concept, both of them are formal signs. That means we don't know directly the phantasm, and we don't know directly the concept. We know the content of the concept, we don't know the concept itself. Come back to the analogy of your retina. The image of the tree on your retina, you cannot see that. But you see the tree through that image. We know what are things, we know the essence of thing through the concept. But the concept itself, it is a formal sign. The phantasm, it is a formal sign. The existence of the phantasm and the existence of the concept is only to indicate what is a thing. And we cannot know the concept directly. We cannot know directly the phantasm, but we know the thing through the phantasm, through the concept. There was a few years ago, a seminarian gave me a picture. It is a painting from a French painter. It is a pipe. So the French painter, they painted a pipe, a pipe. And he said, he wrote under, cela n'est pas une pipe. This is not a pipe. It's true. The painting of a pipe is not a pipe. Like the picture of your mother is not your mother. But if you want to make me know your mother, you take the image of your mother, you say that is my mother. It's not true. That is not the image. It is the image of your mother. It is not your mother. You know your mother. I know your mother through the image. In fact, the role of the picture is to lead you to your mother. The role of the phantasm, the role of the concept is to lead you to the object, to the reality. Interesting. To the reality. That means our knowledge is essentially objective. My knowledge is essentially objective. That means when I know something, the knowledge I have makes me in link with the reality. I cannot know nothing without having a reality. And what is the truth? The conformity of my mind to the reality. So the foundation of truth is in the concept. If I have no concept, I have no truth. The truth is the conformity of my mind, the idea I have, to the reality. Interesting. Things are linked like that. Because I am in the truth, what I think about a thing corresponds to the reality. That is logical truth. Okay. In fact, there is a link between what we study now and what we study in January when we study epistemology. How we attain the truth. We have linked together. In fact, the treaty of epistemology did not exist in the Middle Age. It is a new treaty because of Descartes. And when they say we know only through our intellect, not through our senses, and my senses induce me into error, I cannot trust my sense knowledge. So we have to prove the contrary. That is the treaty of epistemology. But in the time of Saint Thomas, it was not necessary, because everyone accepted that we can trust our senses. But you know, that French Descartes, a good Catholic. Okay, page 172. Just at the top of the page. So in pre-species is defined the likeness form which takes the place of the object and determine a cognitive power to produce knowledge. The concept, like the phantasm, takes the place of the singular object, and the concept takes the place of the universal object. I know what is a cat through the concept of the cat. I don't know my own concept. If I reflect on my concept, I have the single level of knowledge. Okay. So I know that I have a concept, but that is, it is a reflection on my own knowledge. My own knowledge. I continue. Hence, the impressed species constitute with the cognitive power, and hence knowledge derived from the power and from an object. In fact, my knowledge, according to Aristotle and St. Thomas and everything, depend at the same time on the sense object, the material object, and on my intellect. We know we need both. We need both. We cannot have knowledge only through my intellect. I must have an object determining my intellect. Okay? The next paragraph 5. The formal concept conceive or express species is the concept formed in the possible, here in the passive. First, the concept is formed here, but it is expressed here. That means the first time I must understand, I must receive the insight. I must have the insight, impress the thing. After that, I can express that. We see what it was. And that concept is a formal sign, a formal sign. That the function of the concept is to indicate the object. Like the phantasm is to indicate the object. We saw when we study in logic, we study sign, instrumental sign. Only two are completely detached from matter, from the phantasm and the concept. They don't have, they are not paper, they are not clothes, they are not nothing. They are only to indicate, like my retina here. I know through my image here, I don't see the image, but I know through that, I know through the concept, I know through the phantasm. They are formal signs. That is difficult to understand now. But you know, if you don't understand, you can go to heaven. I say it's not necessary for your salvation, but it is useful for your theology. Okay. I go to Grenier, here we have an explanation. Go to, at the bottom, number 2, express species. The international likeness of the object which is produced in the act of knowledge, and in which the knowing object contemplates the object known. You know, I contemplate the object in the phantasm, but in the concept. But the concept itself, I know. I can know your mother through the picture. I can know the truth through the concept. I don't know the concept directly. But the concept leads me to the reality. He attached me to the reality. Because the concept attaches me to the reality, I can be in the truth. Because the truth is the correspondence between my mind and the reality. And I can be true when my concept corresponds to the reality. It links me with the reality. Okay? So the insight, the impressed species is the principle of knowledge. Here, when I begin to know when my impressed species is impressed by the illumination of the phantas, abstraction, and the express species is the term. The end, the fruit of that is the concept. Of course, I can express the concept in words, you know, in words, but the concept itself, in fact, what the word you use to express something, what is that function?
Language.
Is to link you with the reality. No? If I describe it as a kangaroo, I define it as a kangaroo. The definition here comes from your concept, but it does not link me with your concept. It links me with the object, the kangaroo. In fact, the role of the concept is to link the people to the reality, essentially to the truth. The truth is the correspondence between what I know. Okay? So the express species is sensible, we saw that. The intelligence express is quiet. Here there is a very touchy application in theology. An express species is produced in God, not from necessity, but from the surabundance of his knowledge. God knows himself perfectly. And knowing himself perfectly, he expresses himself. It expresses himself as perfect. And that is the word. You know, in theology, to express, we use the theory of knowledge. If you don't understand that, you cannot understand the explanation of St. Thomas about the Father expressed himself. And the expression of God is perfect. So the Son, which is the expression of the Father, is equal to the Father, is the image of the Father, is equal to the Father. You know, in the study of Holy Trinity, we refer to that. It's only to encourage you that what you study will be useful, be sure. Now, 6, the role of the phantasm. The role of the phantasm is a material, it is an instrument. It is also a material cause, yes, it's a material cause, but it is especially, I will say, an instrumental efficient cause. Instrumental efficient cause. Now, number 25.3. All that we study now prove that the body and the soul are one. We cannot know without a body. That means there is unity in man between the body and the soul. And the theory of knowledge of Aristotle proves that very clearly. That the my highest knowledge, even the knowledge of God I can have, comes from my sense knowledge. The proof of that is very simple. Our Father who art in heaven. When you say that, you make two analogies. You start from two sense experiences. The experience of the Father and heaven, you look at that. You see God is there. But what is funny, the Vietnamese under you see God is there. Funny, no? You see God is there, the other you see God is there.
Both are right.
We cannot know even the most sublime truth without using our senses. It's a proof that body and soul are very interconnected, contrary of what said Mr. Descartes. The substantial unity of body and soul, of sense and intellect. As the soul is to the body, so the intellect is to senses. So the soul is to the body, the intellect to the senses. Okay? They animate, the soul is animating. The body never acts without being animated by the soul. And similarly in man, the senses never act without being animated by the intellect. This means that the intellect is already at work with the inner senses, in particularly with the cogitative power. Remember, cogitative power here, when we use our senses, our instinct, but illuminated by our intellect. Indeed, the intellect animates this formation, and its subtle activity produces the universal ideas. So the empress species of the intellect is thus the best understood as a dynamic relationship between the agent intellect here as a principal efficient cause, and the phantasm as instrumental cause. And the fruit of that stays in my mind in the passive intellect. So I am the one who acts and the one who takes benefit. And that is a spontaneous activity. You remember the two characteristics of life? Spontaneity and immanence. Here you have the perfect example. Spontaneity, the intellect illuminate, and immanence, the result of that stay in you. You have at the same time the one who acts and the one who takes benefit of your own action, and that is the characteristic of vital operation. When you think, for example, you are the one who abstract. Every word I say to you, you abstract that. You know that. If I say kangaroo, we receive a word, kangaroo, boom, 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 boom. You abstract. Continually, we abstract. After that, you give to another, etc. So we, as long as we are awake and continually, we are using our. I go now to page 174. I have 10 minutes. So for that I will go 74A. Take that, 74A. Everything is here, 74A. You have the proper material object. So in fact we saw that every activity of man depends on an object. So the intellectual activity of man depends also on object. And what is the object of those activities? So I give you here a summary of what is in the text. Okay. So you have the proper material object. And you have here the total material object. Suppress the word adequate here, okay? Suppress the word adequate, because the word adequate will go down. Okay, here suppress adequate. It is written total or adequate. Suppress adequate. Page 174A. Okay? And you have here proper formal object, and you have here adequate formal object. So I explain that repeatedly. The proper object here, material object, is the one known through the senses. Material object, any kind of material object. In fact, it is matter, every material object. Yeah. We know the matter. But the formal is the form. The form of the thing. So the whatness, the quidity, the essence of material thing, the essence, the whatness, that is the proper object of the intellect. So we know first through our senses, material thing, but we abstract and we arrive to the essence, the quidity of a thing. It is what we studied just before. So that is a first division. A first division. Another division is to pick out the total object and the adequate object. But, or sometimes in some book they say again material object. I don't like that. But anyway. So the total object is being. That means man is The intellect object is open to any being. Okay? But what is the formal object is being as truth. As truth. When we study being next in January, we will see that every being is one, every being is true, and every being is good. That means every being, the fact it exists, is different from the other, can be known by intellect, and if he exists, he corresponds to the one who thought about his existence, etc. So we can say the adequate object of the intellect is to attain the truth. That's the adequate object. But the total object is being. What is the difference? Here it is being. In fact, my intellect is open to any kind of being, any mode of being. But what is formal, what is adequate for my intellect, is being not as good. That is the object of my will. But being as truth. That means in being, I discover the truth. That means the correspondence of what I think to the reality. You know? Here it is another division. I know truth. This is the way, it is the content here. And the way, I know. Here the content. What I know. Well, I will not insist too much on that, but I think it's this, you have the essential here. So the way, I can know through my senses, but I can know through the form of thing. That means I can know the essence of thing, the concept. I know through the concept. I know through my senses, my fantasy. But the content, why do I know? What do I know? I know a being, any being, even God. Any being is object of my knowledge. So man is a curious animal, always searching and questioning animal. But he's questioning, especially through his intellect, for truth. And we see next week, he is also searching being for the good. That is the object of the will. That means every being as good can be will, at least by the one who created that being. I got it. And I will continue by the spirituality of the human soul. I already spoke about that tonight. Spiritual, that means you have that positively, positively and wholly immaterial. There is a difference between immaterial and spiritual. Immaterial means detached from matter. Spiritual is more than that. Spiritual means exist independently of matter and operate independently. But it can use, For example, when you write, are you the slave of your pencil? You can take another pencil, no? It's the same, for the soul. My soul is spiritual, but it can use many sensations, many material things. Okay? So spiritual, you have that, positively immaterial. Intrinsically independent of matter, at least in being and some activities. Independent in being. That means my existence does not depend on of matter. You say my soul. Yes, your soul depends on you as a human being. It requires a body. But after that, it can continue because it is incorruptible, because it is spiritual, detached from matter. But it's spiritual characteristic, independent, detached from matter in this being. And on page 176, it is yellow on my page here. You have two proofs of that. The first proof, it is his ideas are universal. They are necessary and true. They cannot derive from any material organ. And no organ, even my brain, can produce truth, can produce the knowledge. It is an instrument. It is beyond time and space. I transcend time and space. What is interesting, at the same time, I am in time and space, but At another point of view, I am above time and space. Next week, we will see that we are at the same time using our instinct. At the same time, we can control our passion. You know? So from the universality of that, we conclude to the existence of a power also universal, detached from any singularity. That is abstraction. We can abstract, we can detach, we can arrive to a universal level totally independent from matter. If my activity are able to be spiritual, the source of my activity is also spiritual. We cannot affirm directly the spirituality of the human soul, but you can affirm through this, its activities. And the second proof, number 25.6, I already spoke about that. It is the capacity of reflection. The mind attention itself, and the intellect turning back on itself. So the subject and the object coincide. They are one. How is it possible that my agent intellect and passive intellect, they are one with two functions? I read you a quotation here. We know the spirituality of the soul through the action of the intellect, which grasps the universal, and through the will, we see that next week, which tends necessarily toward the perfect good. So the soul is a power. It has an intellectual power to seize, to grasp the universal truth, outside of time and space, and also the will, which is tending toward the perfect good, perfect happiness. The object being spiritual, that means detached from any materiality, and existing in the mind without material support, for example, the concept, the formal, sign, abstract, and universal. Therefore, the subject, the soul, must be spiritual. Why? Because its activities are spiritual. Capacity of reflection, and for the will, control of my appetite. So that, when we have to affirm the spirituality of the human soul, we are obliged to come here. Tonight, the class, unfortunately, I have to say that is very concentrated, but it is through my activities that are detached from matter, especially abstraction and reflection, that I prove that my activity are detached from material reality. My function depends on the principle, the soul, which is also detached from material reality. And if the soul continues to function, it uses my senses, my phantasm, as a tool, as an instrument. And that important here is the notion of principal efficient cause, my intellect, my soul, and instrumental efficient cause, my senses. Like the pencil is instrumental efficient cause, but the writer is the principal efficient cause. That means we must know causality as an analogous. If you take cause as a univocal, you are pantheism, you fall into pantheism. We fall into pantheism. So, thank you for your attention. And next week we begin the last part of the class, the volition, appetite, emotion, all that.